can you name some other communities? We mentioned New Ulm. What other communities have a Spring Grove and Norwegians?
Yeah, sure.
What other ones have a heritage in Minnesota? If I were to say Finnish, any idea? Yeah? Up north. Sabika would be where they got St. Urho and those towns up in there. You've got Sabika, which is very much, in Finnish community. Swedish one of the main things, Lindstrom tries to advertise itself as being the real community that is Sweden. The reason that they're Swedish is that an author from Sweden came over, traveled around Lindstrom many, many years ago, and wrote a series of books, and they get tourists every year coming in the busloads to go see Lindstrom. And that's where you've got Sven's shoe shop as well. Their water tower is a teapot. If I were to say, let's see, what would be the correct one? Swiss Fest, Bern, in Bern. If I were to say Bohemian or Czech, let's say Czech. Montgomery, New Prague, very much. If you want Czech food, you go there. And they've got retailers that celebrate those things. Now, that's the one thing. If we look at Lindstrom, they have what they call a Swedish Heritage. They have a restaurant that's called Little Swede, or Little Sweden. But that's the only thing that you can say is there. They've got a German meat market. But there really is nothing that the retailers haven't at all grasped that heritage. In New Ulm, you do have that. You've got Danheim's and a number and Dormeyer's and places like that really keep that heritage going within their businesses. I think there's a Christmas store that's kind of a German Christmas store that's in downtown. The look of downtown is very German as well. They've tried to maintain those things, as well as Herman the German statue sitting up on the hill. So you want to have, that can be a realistic theme for some downtowns. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, that can be one of the themes. Stores that entertain are another one. You've got to have towns that are going to stay successful after 5 o'clock have to have some place to go after 5 o'clock. That's in New Ulm, we're fortunate, or in Casson, we're fortunate enough to have a movie theater. But it's very difficult. You need to have some places that people can go other than just the bars. Although a good bar can be something as well, too. Stores that celebrate the local arts. One thing that I would say in New Prague, when I was there are stores, you go there, many of the stores are displaying art from local artists in the stores, and they're for sale. That's what decorates the walls, as well as having some stores that's all they do is celebrate locally made things. And so that's very much one of the things that I was very impressed with that community and what they're doing. The other thing you've got is stores that educate. Now, you may say, what's that? Well, if you've got stores that let's say, offer piano lessons as well as repair pianos or teach various skills, music skills like that, things like that, or teach pottery making, or teach many different arts. That's a thing that we call an education. And that can be a theme for a downtown. Now, some of the techniques, those were the themes. Some of the techniques can be making a sustainable connection between the city and the people who live outside the city. That's where farmers markets and having those local arts come in, getting that connection between the two. A community that I've noticed probably really makes some efforts on connecting with the outside is Winona. I've noticed the last few years, the Chamber of Commerce the farmers consider the Chamber of Commerce their friend. Now, that is kind of unique. I can't think of too many other communities where I'd say that the rural community connects themselves to the Chamber of Commerce.
Don't they have a strong ag component on their chamber?
That's right. They do. And in some ways, Olmsted County does it. They have their breakfast on the farm. But I don't think it's, I mean, that is fairly strong. And they've made some connections. But I think the strongest one I can think of is that one. The other one, another one that I'm familiar with, is Goodhue. And the reason I say Goodhue is the Lions Club is quite large in Goodhue. And a lot of them are farmers. It's one of the highest percentage of farmers that I've ever seen in a Lions Club. And that brings, the Lions are very much connected to the community. One of the things Goodhue is known for is a chicken barbecue that the Lions put on late in the year. They have a lineup that starts at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and that lineup goes until 6 o'clock at night. People going through and eating chicken all day long, as well as having maybe 3 or 4 bands in the tent outside. They're selling ice cream. They're selling bags of sweet corn to people to take home. It is very much, they've connected, and that's kind of one of the things that they're known for, besides wrestling teams and a wrestling coach and things like that. We're also seeing the technique is building that strong public-private partnership, a good connection between the businesses and the EDA and the Chambers of Commerce, and making sure that, yes, we've got good streets, we've got good sidewalks, we think about the amenities that we're trying to make the downtown a pleasant place to be. Do we have parks? Do we have good parking? Those are all important to having this partnership. Developing a vision and a plan. And that's part of what we do with this, is how do we develop this vision and plan? This is part of the tools. And then identifying and building on local assets. We're identifying here strong areas. So I've kind of covered what I do in the retail stuff. I'm just going to show a few slides on some of the other things that we do, because we also deal with internet programs and other programs like this. One of the things that more communities are looking at is how do we use the internet to our advantage within our community? And so some of the communities were doing what we call access e-commerce. The businesses are saying, how do we use the internet to increase our profitability or increase our sales? So we teach some of the basics and planning websites and marketing strategies, things like that. We do those type of programs with them. And for people who don't want to have us come in and do it and want to do it self-study, actually our curriculums are all on our website. That people can do it themselves, or a community leader can use it and do it in their community. The local librarian can do it, for example. We also do, besides Access e-commerce, we do Access nonprofit, Access government, Access broadband, internet education. One of the most popular things I did when I was in Dodge County was, how do you do email? I had a lot of senior citizens who had gotten computers, but they didn't have any kids of their own. They had all left already. And they said, okay, I want to do stuff, but I don't know what I'm doing. And we made it a very safe environment to learn. And actually, one of the things they had to do was write my boss an email at the end so they could show and actually take pictures and attach pictures and things like that. It was one of those things where they became more comfortable with it and had a good time with it, too. We kind of broke down their resistance to computers. On the first night, we actually tore a computer apart. I had an old computer. We tore it apart, and I put it back together again and showed them that, you can't do anything at the keyboard that's probably going to destroy the computer. At least it's going to give you a bunch of warnings if you do it. And even if we take it apart, we can put it back together and we can make it work. And I think people felt a little bit safer with that. And then Access e-community, which is something that's really growing now. Now, one of the things I noticed when I look at Harmony is that they've done a very good job on kind of Access e-community. There are a lot of things about the community on the web. And we're going to look a little bit more at that. One of the things that one of my colleagues is doing is he's teaching people how to blog now too. This is a good one. He has a farmer's market. And so he has a blog that always is telling people, okay, here's how my crops are doing. And here's what's going to be coming up in about this week. Here's what's going to be coming next week. And many businesses can do this to say, hey, get some excitement going. Here's what's happening in our community. One of the more successful blogs that I've noticed is Northfield. Northfield Downtown Development Corporation does a wonderful blog. The guy who does that talks about the stars that come to town. Johansson. What's the female star Johansson? Scarlett Johansson came to town. And sure enough, there's pictures of Scarlett Johansson. Do you know that she went down to the shoe store and bought shoes? In fact, they had a picture of her at college wearing the shoes that she had just bought downtown in Northfield.